How often should you change your prices? So we advise a lot of clients, and this is actually one of the questions that we get the most. Like, okay, so how often should we change our prices? Should we do it every year? Should we do it every 2 years? Should we do it every month, every week? Like, what's good? So the answer is it depends. And I think there are 3 levels in which you can think about this. And basically, it's like having like a martial arts, and you get like a yellow belt, and then a blue belt, and then like a black belt finally. It's a little bit like that, but don't try to like be a black belt if you're not. So basically, you need to sort of start at white and work your way up. So I want to sort of show you a little bit about how we think about sort of these levels in sort of pricing maturity, which actually sort of translates into speed. So the idea actually is, and I'll get into that, is that the better you are, the faster you are. So Salesforce have changed prices 13 times in the last 12 months. OpenAI have changed prices 10 times in the last 12 months. And that is because they're already black belts at pricing changes. So how often should you change pricing in SaaS? And they're moving fast. So right now, good means pace. It means speed. So there are 3 levels that I think that you should think about this in terms of like, how often should I change prices? And you just figure out like, what is the next right level for you? First, it is that you just start. So if you're not changing prices, then you probably should. At least just do it annually. Do a 5 or 10% price increase. Just get started. Like that is level 1. If you're not there yet, just get there, worry about the rest later. Get that because there's a certain muscle you need to figure out how you communicate it to customers. There's a certain flow when they get back to you. You need to sort of deal with that. And then there's maybe a little bit of churn. There may be a little bit of customer success. You just learn how that works. And now you've done it once. Just start to do it again next year. At least you'll keep up with deflation or even go a little bit ahead. So that's level 1. Level 2 is that you do upkeep transformation. So it basically means that if you're upkeeping, you're sort of trying to sort of figure out what the optimum is. You're trying to say, hey, if we raise prices, conversion might drop. Let's find like a good balance where we have like high-ish prices, but without the conversion sort of suffering too much. And we make a lot of money. That's great. And then you try to find the optimum price with that. And with that, you might miss that you actually have another model that might work better. So let's say that you're currently doing user-based pricing, and maybe you should do some sort of usage-based pricing, price per storage, API call, whatever, and that model might actually make you a lot more money. So you're not going to do that usually with just like an annual price increase. That's transformation work. So at level 2, you start to actually consider your pricing model and your business model and saying, hey, do we have the right model for this product, for all our products? With the old customers, we have other changes that we need to make. And then you do that again on an annual basis. So you say, hey, we actually change customers around, change the model. We do a big project, something like that. And then we change the business model that we have. And then that creates these sort of lockstep sort of changes here. So we actually do a lot of this transformation work. That's sort of the projects we do. And our average price increase executed on customers, we track this, is 242%. So it is actually not just a 5 or 10% increase. So going 240% with a 10% increase is going to take you 20 years, right? To just get there with compound interest. So if you want to speed that up and you actually think, hey, the value we bring to the market is just disproportionate to how much the market is paying us, you need to do a transformation and not just a price increase. Because if you just ramp prices in your existing model, just try to like push this one up here, they might say, hey, we don't want to pay like $30,000 per user per year. That's weird. Like we'll just have less users, and then you're going to get into sort of a problem. So the problem is that the structure you have is wrong. You need to change the model, new structure. So you're going to want to get over to a different structure over here, and then you want to climb to the new optimum because the new model is better. So that's level 2 when you're considering these structural transformation aspects. The last level 3 I call cycle pace. And that is where you start to then do this all of the time. And so Salesforce have changed prices 13 times in the last year in material ways. OpenAI have changed prices 10 times in the last 12 months in material ways. So they're doing both transformation work and upkeep work all of the time. And usually the reason I call it cycle pace is that you're going to have both a sales cycle and you're going to have a product cycle. So let's just say for state of argument that your sales cycle is a month and your product cycle is 3 months. So every 3 months you have sort of material changes to the product, you push out new product, you do feature updates, whatever it is, and it takes you about 30 days to sell something. So the sales cycle is the rate at which your organization learns about the current model they have. So you sell something and the market reacts and you have a high or low conversion rate, your discount rate is high or low, whatever it is, you figure it out. And like 30 days later, you know how it works because, either it worked or it didn't. And then the product cycle is the rate or pace at which you change something, right? So every 3 months, your product changes. You have something materially new to sell. You have new features, new story, new value, all these things. So you can actually test something new instead of just running a new test on the existing thing. And what we actually see is that if we have let's say a 1-month sales cycle here, and we have a 3-month product cycle, what the big boys do when they have the black belt is that they pick the shorter of the two, right? They say, whatever is the faster of the two, which is why I call it cycle pace, is the rate at which we change. So if we push out product here, then we get to run a price test here, and then we get to run another one here, and then we get to run another one here, which actually means that we might want to run 3 different price point tests, or we want to run 3 different models on it, on the same product, and then we can actually, like in 3 months, figure out what the right model is for this product, and then move forward. So that means that our rate of learning, our sales cycle is really fast, so we'll do that. And if it's the reverse, if this is the product cycle and this is the sales cycle, we'll basically say, hey, we're going to push this out with the model here, and then when we launch a new product, we're just going to launch a new sales cycle here, and then here we're going to launch a new sales cycle, and we're just going to experiment as we push out new product with something like this, just essentially creating different SKUs, like different products, instead of just adding to the existing ones, and then we're just going to move forward like that. In either case, it's going to be the shorter of the two, which is why they move fast. So right now, when you're talking to all of the pricing managers in the fast-growing, large sort of brand name companies in Silicon Valley and other tech companies, especially also in Europe, monetization has become weaponized, which means that they're using cycle pacing to move fast, to find better business models that compete against sort of old business models in ways that are just transformative. And it actually doesn't have anything to do with product. Product helps, but it also has something to do with how you sell it, right? So Zendesk, for example, if they sold user-based pricing for people like customer service agents, they would have like a certain model where they say, hey, it's going to be whatever, $100 per user per month. But if they sell it per automated ticket, which they do is like, I think it's $1.49, then suddenly they have a different model and people push users through it. And that model just is very competitive to their competitors that still use a seat-based model. So it's the ability to just find these models and nail them down in a cycle-paced manner that is the weaponization of pricing. So 3 levels. If you're not at level 1, just go to level 1. But if you're at level 1, try 2. If you're at 2, work on your pace to get it up here. This is how we think about it. I hope it helps you. Maybe it motivates you a little bit. Maybe it scares you. That's okay. Just do the next level. Good luck.